No, Piers, I think you're exactly right. He's talking about the church as healing wounded people. That's what struck me over and over again in this interview. He talked about healing the wounded. It was very interesting to me. He said the confessional is not supposed to be a torture chamber. If a woman who had been divorced and had an abortion, bad first marriage, comes to confession, and now she's happily married, has 5 kids, are you going to go back and focus on the abortion and the divorce, or are you going to lead her forward in her life in the happiness that she's being called to? He calls himself a sinner. That's how it starts, the article, when the interviewer says, "Who are you, Jorge Bergoglio?" He goes, "First and foremost, I'm a sinner." And then he places himself next to every other sinner. I think that part is really remarkable.
Yeah, I totally agree. Now, Bill Donahue, when he said this, tell me, when God looks at a gay person, does he endorse the existence of this person with love or reject and condemn this person? We must always consider the person. Here we enter into the mystery of the human being. Now, again, I couldn't imagine any of his predecessors really saying something quite like that about gay people. Would you endorse every word of what he said?
Well, not only would I endorse it, but I do disagree with you. There's nothing that John Paul II or Benedict XVI ever said that would in any way condemn a person because he's gay. What we've said is that there are certain acts, such as homosexuality, and certain institutions, such as marriage, which should not be changed to appease those people who want gay marriage. That is profoundly different from condemning a person because he's gay.
But you notice, Piers, Pope Francis is not talking about acts. He's talking about people. He's saying drop the categories of sin. Let's focus on the mercy of people. He said do not categorize sin.
As a matter of fact, if you read it carefully, Father, what you'll find is that he's against the rigorist on the right, and he says those priests who are too lax, those ones who deny the existence of sin, it's in the statement. It's important for people to read what the Pope said.
What he says is,
I got to tell you, one of the things that I see is that today in America, all of these groups that have been for, I would say, more than 2 decades, pushing the constant issue of contraception, the evils of contraception, the whole abortion issue, the issue towards the attitudes that are sometimes so negative toward homosexual persons and their acts. Today they must be worried because this Pope is telling them, you know what? Stop it. You know, let's focus on the gospel. Let's focus on welcoming and loving people. And let's help them through the process of whatever it is they have to deal with. And that's one thing that the Pope has not said in the past. And if someone tells me that what this Pope is saying is not something new, they haven't been paying attention for a long time. Because let me tell you,
and
he's saying many new things. He's saying many new things.
Yeah. Also, he goes further. He says this: we have to find a new balance. Otherwise, even the moral edifice of the church is likely to fall like a house of cards, losing the freshness and fragrance of the gospel. Now, Bill Donahue, whichever way you try and spin that, that is a guy basically laying down a big marker to the Catholic Church and to all Catholics. You've got to move with the times a bit, or we won't have a church.
Let me just say something. Stop the hyperventilation on the right, those people who are in mourning. Stop the hyperventilation on the left, those people who are ready to pop the champagne. He's not going to change the church's teachings on gay marriage. He's not going to change the church's teachings on women's ordination. He's not going to change the church's teachings on abortion. And the faster people get that, the better. His style is different.
You seem very certain. You seem very certain of this,
Absolutely.
Bill Donahue.
I am very certain of that. I couldn't be more certain than anything in the world.